Hi everyone and welcome to MLS 5303 Applied Research. I'm your instructor Art Aguirre. You can call me Dr. Aguirre, Dr. Art, Dr. A or Art. Any of those things work, whatever you feel more comfortable with. What I want to do for this first week of class is just go over an overview of the course, let you all know what some of the main assignments are, give you some details on the final paper, and then just give you some suggestions as you head into this class, because I know for a lot of folks in our program, this is the first research class or methods class that you've had in quite some time. Some folks haven't had a course dedicated simply just to research methods. So I want to give you all some advice in terms of what to expect and how I think you could best approach this course. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's all the general information. In terms of my office hours, they're obviously going to be online. It'll be Wednesdays and Thursdays El Paso time, 1:30 to 4 p.m. on Wednesdays, and 3:30 to 4 p.m. on Thursdays. I try to make myself available to you as often as I can. So if those times don't work, just let me know and we can figure something out. On both days, I log into Skype. And on Thursdays, what I'll be doing is I'll be posting a Zoom link on our Blackboard course. And that link will work on Thursdays to our designated time. So that way, I know there's a lot of folks who are much more comfortable hopping into a Zoom meeting than logging into Skype and starting up a conversation that way. So on Thursdays, I'll specifically log into both, but I'll have Zoom open that way in case anyone wants to drop in like an actual office hour. You can do that. But I really want to emphasize if those times don't work for you, I am more than happy to figure out another time where we can meet. So just shoot me an email. That's my email there, aaaguirre@utep.edu. I prefer students to email me there, or to use that function to email me, because the messaging function on Blackboard is not as easily available to me. I've had some issues with the app in the past, so I highly suggest you will use that method to reach out to me. I'm also more than happy to give you my phone number if you want to shoot me a text message, and then we can coordinate that way and figure out a time to either get on the phone or get on Zoom or any other interface you want to use. But that's all the contact information. Let's go ahead and keep moving forward. So in terms of the course description, the big thing that we're doing here is just going over the primary research methods available to you all. Obviously, they're split up into qualitative and quantitative, but I want to take an approach to methods that I think that makes the most sense given the nature of the program and given what the expectation is for the majority of our students in terms of what they're looking forward to doing once they leave our program. A lot of folks are looking at it as a way of kind of jumpstarting their career. I know we have a lot of folks in the military, so they're thinking about the professional careers available to them once they leave the military. And there's some folks who been out of school for a little bit. They're taking this class as a way of preparing themselves for getting back into the corporate world. There's a lot of different backgrounds, but in general, the big focus for folks is moving on from our program or continuing from our program into the private sector. And so for that function, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to focus our attention on what you would do if you were doing an actual research project. We are going to go through that process, and that's kind of what the main final paper is all about. But just in general, my big takeaway is that once you leave this class, at the very least, what you'll be able to do is recognize good quality academic research, what it looks like. You'll be able to read an article, understand it, and come away with an understanding of what the authors and the researchers were going for, what were some of their methods that were used, and what are like the tangible takeaways from that research. So I want you to be able to do that. We're going to go over a number of concepts. We'll be using these two textbooks. This is Walleman Research Methods. We'll be using that for the majority of the first part of the class. And then towards the end, we'll be using the Naked Statistics book. And I like that book a lot because I'll be the first to admit it can get really heavy. Especially if math is not your strong suit, and I'm right there with you. I got into communication. That's my background is in communication. Not just because I'm passionate about communication, because that was the main focus, but a big part of me was trying to avoid numbers and quantitative work, and my work is in qualitative research. But we can still get into this book and take away a lot of knowledge from it, because I think Charles Whelan does a fantastic job bringing in a lot of different examples from sports, from pop culture, and that really, I think, helps kind of cement some of these ideas. So those are the two books that we'll be using this semester. The Walleman book is free and available on Blackboard, so the only one you'll need to purchase is the Naked Statistics book. The other required and recommended materials, so obviously you're going to need an internet connection, you need to have your UTEP email, and Blackboard is the primary thing that we're going to be using. All the discussion boards, where you're submitting your assignments, everything will be on Blackboard. So email and Blackboard are the only major things that you'll be using, and then of course the 2 textbooks that I just mentioned. Participation, usually go over a spiel for my hybrid classes in terms of what I'm expecting for participation. For this class, I try to keep this as simple as possible. I know it is a summer course, and more than anything, I know that this particular course can be a little heavy because of the nature of research and quantitative research and qualitative research. And so I try to keep this as simple as possible. There is no responding on your discussion boards. It's just a straightforward response. There's only 3 major assignments. And so as long as you're taking care of that, that's all I'm expecting, is that you're staying on top of your assignments. And if something were to come up, you notify me and keep in communication with me. Let's go ahead to ADA accessibility. So if you have if you need any support, make sure you go to CAS and communicate with them so they can communicate with me. And in terms of diversity and online etiquette, I think they go hand in hand. I think we all understand that our class is going to be comprised of a wide variety of individuals with different backgrounds and identities. And the big thing when it comes to online communication is that we are being supportive and open to all people. And we're just making sure that if we're making any arguments, that we're arguing ideas and not identities. Again, you're not having to respond to any students, but I know there are some folks who just want to interact with their classmates. And so if conversation starts going on our discussion boards, which you are more than welcome to do, even though it's not required, I just want to make sure we keep everything respectful. Whether I'm communicating with you or you're communicating with me or you all are communicating with each other, I think respect, as long as we're focusing on that, we're all going to be fine. Okay, so late assignments, like I just mentioned, I typically don't accept late assignments, but if you're communicating with me and letting me know when things are coming up, I'm always willing and trying to be as flexible as I can to work with you. In terms of grade appeals, again, we only have 3 assignments, so there's not a whole lot of time that we're going to have for grade appeals. Mostly it'll be in the form of our discussion board, but I have a 24/7 policy, so you have to wait 24 hours before you start yelling at me, and then just notify me within that week about what the issue is with your grade so we can have a conversation. In terms of ethics and academic dishonesty, I want to reiterate multiple times, not just in this video, but in other lectures, how available I am to you all and how I want to be here for whatever questions or needs that you all have. So I don't want you all to ever feel like you're in a position where you need to cheat or plagiarize or anything like that to get through this class. Like, we can come up with a game plan and figure things out. Just communicate with me so we can figure out a game plan. The worst thing is if you are a week before the end of the semester and you're missing multiple assignments and you haven't started your final assignment and you're asking me, what can you do to get yourself out of that mess? Like that's going to put everyone in a really tough situation. But if you come to me with plenty of time, we can figure out a game plan. So that's the only thing I ask for you all. And that goes straight to, instructor-student communication, just making sure that you're communicating with me. And lastly, my expectations for your work is that you are engaging with the material. When you are responding on the discussion board, I want to make it clear that you've done the readings, that you understand what I'm asking for. When it comes to the assignments, that you're actually meeting the requirements that I'm giving you all. That is usually the easiest way for folks to lose points. If they are not turning in assignments, or if they are just outright ignoring the requirements that I'm laying out for you all. So if I say that a paper needs to be 10 to 12 pages long and you turn 8 pages, you have to know that there's no possible way for you to get an A on that paper, right? Even if you write the best paper I've ever seen, you're still shy of those requirements, so I have to take points off for that. So as long as you're following the requirements and I can see you're engaging with the material, you're going to be fine. So here are the 3 major assignments, the 3 only assignments. So the first thing is our Blackboard discussions. They're worth 50 points each. We have 8 throughout the semester. The first one's fairly easy, and the rest of them, again, there's no responses required, so just my expectation, because there are no responses required, that you're really taking the time and sufficiently responding to those prompts. The second assignment is a research analysis and discussion. So this is my first, this is your first foray for a lot of folks into looking at, reading, and explaining an article, and that's all I really want you to do. So it is up to you on what you want, which article you want to find. It has to be an academic peer-reviewed journal article, and I will put up a video showing you all how to access that from the UTEP library database. You pull up that article, read it, go through it, and all I want you to do is you're going to be uploading, take a video of yourself however you want to, whether it's on your phone, if you have a camera, like however you want to do it. But what you'll be doing is explaining who the authors are, the researchers are, what's the main focus of the article, and then kind of give some details about it, right? You know, what methods were they using, what approach did they use, sample size, whether it's quantitative, qualitative, critical, whatever you choose. It is completely up to you on which article you want to choose. And your job is to use about I put 8 to 12 minutes in the syllabus, and explain that article to your classmates. What are your main takeaways? And really that whole exercise for that assignment is getting you all accustomed to what that writing looks like, what the different approaches are available to you all, and getting comfortable reading something and then explaining that information to somebody else. So that's what the research analysis and discussion is all about. And then we have the final proposal paper. So because of the nature of our program and the classes are only 8 weeks long, it becomes really difficult to try to assign a full-length academic graduate level paper, because usually those are 20 to 25 pages long. They consist of multiple different chapters or sections at the very least. But that's just a whole lot to kind of throw onto students when you only have 8 weeks. So what we're doing for this one, it's kind of perfect for our program, is I'm just having you to turn in a proposal, which is what you would do is, like let's say myself, if I want to do a research project that involves people, I usually have to submit that to the IRB, and they're the ones that are going to let me know if I'm able to move forward with that. And I have to submit a proposal. Now, what that proposal consists of is usually an introduction to myself, what the project's going to be. I give a literature review about some of the other work that's already previously been done. I get into the methods of what approach I'm going to be using. And then let's say I was going to do a survey or have interview questions for my participants and what my participants are going to look like. Like all of those things I have to present to this IRB board. And then they look at all this stuff and they'll let me know if I can move forward. So I don't actually have to have the project done. This is just me sending a proposal to see if it's going to be accepted and that I can move forward. And that's what I want you all to put together. So this is what the final paper requirements look like. Intro, literature review, methodology, and what you think your anticipated results are going to be. It needs to be 10 to 12 pages long, 8 to 10 resources. 5 of them have to be academic journal articles. Again, I'm going to put up a video on Blackboard explaining how to find those academic journal articles. And honestly, for your future papers, I think there's no better way of finding resource material than using the library databases. It needs to be an APA format. You don't need to have an abstract. I just need the cover page, the actual paper, and then your references page. 1-inch margins, double space, and Times New Roman font. So those are the main requirements for that paper. It is up to you on what type of proposal you want to put together in terms of what method you want to use, whether it's quantitative, whether it's qualitative. And you don't actually have to finish this project, so you can kind of let your imagination go wild in terms of what you would think you'd want to do. I am going to provide some samples and some examples of what a proposal like this would look like. I'll have one. Actually, I had to, during my doctoral program, I had to do something very similar to this. So I'm going to post my own paper, which was from like my first year in my doctoral program, so you have an idea of what that looks like. If not, it doesn't have to be exactly like that one, but I do want to give you an idea of what it looks like. But I'll provide you some samples, and I'll do another video going over any other suggestions and advice that I think that would be beneficial to you all. Last thing I want to do is give you all some ideas in terms of how to approach this course. So here are a few things. 1, focus on the key ideas, especially when we get into the Whelan book. It is okay. I'm giving you the okay to skim through the Whelan book. Really try. There's no bold-faced words in that textbook. It's not really a textbook, but it's okay to skim through, skip some of the numbers if you're not comfortable with numbers. Really, just get the key ideas from the textbook. The Wallman book's a little bit different. That one is an actual textbook. That one, it might be a little bit easier to digest. In terms of looking at some of the basic research methods. My big thing again is understanding. All I want you to do is make sure that you can understand what some of these key concepts are. because of the nature of the program and the fact that we're not going to actually, many folks don't actually have to go through with an actual research project. Most folks are writing like papers. My big thing is making sure that you're leaving this class with understanding. Again, it's process over everything. Understanding the process of how things are put together versus trying to like get you in a position where you're actually going to do these things. So lastly, just don't get lost in the weeds when it comes to whether it is the first textbook, the second textbook that we have, or whether it's the actual assignments themselves. Like really try to just focus on answering the questions in the discussion board, getting the key ideas out of the books that we're reading, and getting the requirements satisfied for all the different assignments. And that's all I'm really asking for. I'm here to help you along the way. I'm going to have lectures that should help you grab some of the key main ideas, and I'm working on getting some guest speakers to come in and kind of provide their own life application of some of these methods. But that's it. That's I try to keep this course as simple as possible because of the fact that I know it can get a little bit complicated. I want to make this as streamlined as I could. So again, I'm available to you all for whatever you need, but I'm very much looking forward to this class. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and I look forward to working with you all for the rest of the semester.